Raymond is from Labuan. He is I got his profile, but I better don't read it. He can introduce himself. He is a motivator. He is a trainer, and he is a very the way I look at it, my own observation is that he is very concerned about the human capital of Sabah, Labuan, Sarawak, and everybody in Borneo. And he is there, ever willing to give training, and he is investing in himself to prepare himself to be able to serve others. And he is a multi-skilled person, but today we invite him to talk about strategic training and development for young and emerging Bornean leaders. How to train young leaders. Over to you, Raymond.
Thank you, Alan. I'm going to share my slide. So I hope you all can see this. So thank you, Alan, for the opportunity to present. Talking about training and development among young leaders is something that I am very passionate about. So to begin my presentation, I would like to ask one very important question is this: will you stand up and lead when no one else will? So usually when people ask this kind of question, they will look down, they don't want to make eye contact. And because leaders demands change, and change is something that is very uncomfortable. And because it forces us out of our comfort zone and forces us to grow. And that's why we will try to avoid taking up leadership role. And because changes, even when we look back in our parents when they were brought up, our grandparents, in 1970s, the population was 3.7 billion, but have grown up to 8 billion today. Today, when you look at your handphone, it's no more just a communication tool. It is a tool that you use for your entertainment. It's a tool that you use for your business. But in the next future, you will see that the phone will be used as your personal virtual assistant in your pocket. So if you look at the global trade, at one time it is controlled by the corporation, big corporations. But today, a stay-at-home mom can do global business in the living room. When they set up industry back in the 70s, it's actually to create jobs. But you and I have seen over the years with the improvement of technology, the number of manpower required to run industry has actually shrank down and very much depends on robotics and automation. And when we talk about climate change, back in 1970s, the CO2 emission was actually 15 billion metric ton per annum. But today, it has more than doubled to 37 billion metric ton. And this has caused the planet to be warmer. And in 1970s, when you said, I'm going to travel overseas, it is something of a luxury. But today, everybody can fly. And this actually drive migration and also drive people going out to seek opportunities out there. And especially you get cultural exchanges. Back in the early years when in the 15th century, 16th century, you see the root of power. The root of power was in the hand of the kings, the military generals, the politicians, because they control the vast resources. But today, you will see influencer getting more attention better than the mainstream media, better than the politicians. And you see the rise of influencer, you see the rise of content creator, you see the rise of activists that actually can change the face of the country just by social media. Taking into example, what happened in Arab Spring, what happened in Black Lives Matter. So all these changes that's happening, of course, change is always fearful. So we need to take the advice from one of my great person who I admire, Nelson Mandela. He says, A brave man is not who does not feel afraid, but he conquers that fear. So whenever we talk about changes, we always have this fear. But the question is, can you turn that fear into moving forward rather than stopping you from doing anything? So in my presentation, I just want to talk to you about these three things. The first one is about the unique challenges of young leaders today in what they're facing in Borneo. The second one is, how do we actually help these leaders to grow? And how do we do it? How to impart this skill to them? So I want to put in context. No, leadership is just not about translating vision, what is up here, into reality. But there is another aspect that leadership is all about solving problems. So to be a good leader, you got to look for problems and look for problems to solve. And when we talk about the current challenges in Borneo, we all know that the poorest state in the whole Malaysia is Sabah with 19.7%, followed by Sarawak 10.8%. And when you look at Kalimantan, they are hovering around 3.6 to 5.6%. Something must be done to elevate these people from this situation. As shared by earlier on by Moses and also Batama, there is an inequality of wealth distribution in the state. There are nearly 50% is in the control of 20%, which means the remaining has nothing much can be done to you actually transform their lives. And if you look at the Sabah, Sarawak, Kalimantan, we are very much into agriculture. And you know, agriculture is actually a low value jobs. We should be actually moving towards industrial, which pay higher so they can actually increase their capability to spend. But if you look at the environment, which has been highlighted earlier on by the two speakers, since 1970s, there was extreme logging, cutting down of trees. And then when we moved to 1990s, well, we had a brilliant idea. You know what? We go into palm oil. But what it has done is actually cut down the number of forests, and this disrupt the biodiversity of the place. And these have a global concern. And you also highlighted earlier about the indigenous rights. Big corporation, or as quoted by Tama Lumpun Bonjoawa, if I pronounce it correctly, that these people actually coming and encroach your territory and take away your land without your permission. And then if you look at the Baram, the case of Baram Dam, the indigenous people was actually opposing until they successfully did it. And because it displaces around 20,000 people and disrupted their livelihood, their fishing and their farming. And if you look at the infrastructures, this is a common sight. You look roads with pothole. If you drive all the way to the west coast of Sabah, you will see this. And when I talk about infrastructure, I'm also talking about the access to clean water and also the rights to electricity. Sabah and Sarawak is full of oil and gas. Why can't we resolve this problem? And then because of the poor infrastructures, how can we deliver good quality education to the remote villages? And without proper education, they will not be able to change their life. So all these challenges we have and much more, but I believe there is opportunity. But the question is, what are you going to do about it? There are three options that you can do. Number one, do nothing. Do nothing because the problem is so overwhelming that you decide to stay on the sidelines and no, I prefer other people do it and I just watch what happened. Or you go for option number two, expect others to do it. However, here I would like to suggest, don't wash your hand, but go and render your service, provide resources, help in the sense of providing financing or share your network. You don't have to be in front, but you can back those people up front there. Or the third one, as they say, take the bull by the horn and just do it. Volunteer and be the change maker, and so you can be a change maker for Sabah and Borneo or Sarawak or Kalimantan. Now, the question is, if you have young emerging leaders, yeah, I want to serve, I want to be a leader, but how do I go about it? I think there are 4 critical things that we need to instill or teach this young generation of people. First is about critical thinking. Critical thinking is about looking at the situation, looking at an event in a different perspective. And because when you have a different perspective, you tend to come up with a much more better decision making, and you decide on decision that is a long-term basis and not a handy plus solution. Obviously, to be a leader, you must be a good communicator, a person able to inspire and unite people to the cause. And sometimes, especially when you look at the challenges, leaders do fall. When I said fall, they get disheartened. And just like the tree at this picture, trying to survive on the perch on the rock, they're trying to fight all environment against all odds, trying to survive. We must teach the young leaders to be agile, to bounce back with agility. Because unfortunately, sad to say, in today's context, the Generation Z, they are somehow very easily disappointed. So we have to be there to guide them. And then most importantly, technology. There are so many, I look at it, the technology is going to advance very quickly because according to the Moore's law, the computing processing power will double every 2 years. And when it does that, it's going to explode the growth of AI in our daily lives. So how do we build these skills quickly among the young people? I believe it is immersive experiential learning, which means get your hands dirty, roll up your sleeve, get into the experience. You cannot go and learn leadership attending a 3 weeks boot camp and come out with a certificate, I'm a leader. It does not work that way. Young people have to get involved. And but how do we guide them? It's only through mentoring. We must have senior people who have experience to guide them, to show them the rope, and to make sure that they don't repeat the mistake that have done before. And not only that, when they fall, when they get disappointed, which they will do, hopefully the mentor will be there to reach out and pull them up. Let's move forward. And of course, the technology, the young generation must learn the right technology, the right tools. Why? Because it can help them to solve complex problems. And I would like to tell you a story about this fantastic lady, Tarihin Masamni. I'm sure some of you have heard about her. God bless her soul. She passed away 2 years ago, but her story really inspired me. She's a lady, 47-year-old grandmother, came from Kampung Sogogan, which it's 5 kilometers away from Kota Marudu. You know, you want to go to her village, you have to drive a 4-wheel drive through treacherous terrain for 5 hours, then you can reach there. And she was handpicked because she was illiterate and she's a grandmother, and she was sent to India to Barefoot College and to learn in 6 months to assemble solar panel. And she has her classmate, and her classmates made up similar group of ladies coming from all over the world. When she finished, she came back. 100 houses got light, and 500 villages benefited from it. I tell this story because some of you, young people, you said, I want to be a leader, but I don't have the position. I don't have the influence. I don't have the money. This story, this amazing Tarihin Masaning, showed it that you can actually make changes in your community just by having passion and determination. Now I'm nearing to the end of my presentation. So no action, no change. So I want to suggest 3 low-hanging fruit that's simple to do that you can start tomorrow for young leaders. Like Lao Tzu says, he says, the journey of 1,000 miles begin with a single step. The journey of a leader begins with small little steps or projects. And I would like to suggest 3 small steps. Number 1, get involved in some community service project. It can be as simple as plant a tree, do a cleanup day, or even start a recycling initiative. On the other hand, commit to yourself. I want to read an article a day, a book a day. I want to watch a video a day in relation to leadership, in relation to communication. And talk about sustainability and listen to podcasts that something concerned with Borneo. And the last and not least, the last one is actually the networking. You got to network with like-minded people to keep yourself charged up and to be inspired and hopefully to form new collaboration. You can join events. There are many events in Sabah and Sarawak, and I believe so in Kalimantan, that you can forge new relationship. And also, the easiest way to build your leadership and also communication is join clubs like Toastmasters, join clubs like Lions, JCs, Rotary. I'm sure there are many other clubs out there that you can join. And the quote here, the only way to achieve impossible is believe it is possible and take action, action, and action. So I would like to close the presentation with the same question I asked earlier on. Will you stand up and lead when no one else will? So that's all for my presentation. I thank you for your time listening. I hope I have sparked some new ideas or start a new conversation in this direction. So thank you, and over to you, Ellen.
Thank you, Raymond. Thank you for a very practical and insightful sharing. And as I told you, he is like a qualified trainer by HRDF, and he has a lot of ideas at his disposal. But I am attracted to the core skills, core competencies that he mentioned. That is critical thinking. I believe is also include like positive thinking. It's like analytical thinking. We got to understand what's happening surrounding us in Borneo, in our kampung, in Borneo, in Southeast Asia, global. Yeah, we need to know what's happening in the U.S. election. Yeah, and what are the parties that competing and what are the candidates. And then they got to be communicator, meaning to say they can be multilingual. Ken talked to me earlier on. He said now it's easy to learn all kind of languages from the internet, from your smartphone. You can learn Spanish even if you are deep in Pegalongan, Nabawan, you know. So it's easy now. And got to be resilience. For me, resilience is nothing because I grew up poor and I've struggled the way up. So resilience means tahan tukul. I'm a tahan tukul guy. And technology, although I'm no longer young, very young now, but as Ken said, we got to keep up with the technology advancement. And we got, like Ken, he said he's mastering AI now. He's going to be one of the experts on AI soon. Yeah. And again, thank you very much, Raymond.